Now, for those of you that may have joined us a little late, I just want to cover a couple of things. You'll see on the lower third there, we have a Twitter group. So you can join the Twitter group, you can ask your questions there, correspond, and hashtag MikeLikeAPro, or you can email us directly at info@ccisolutions.com. We're monitoring that email, and your questions will be answered at the end of the webinar. If you don't have your earbuds or your headphones, go grab those, get those plugged in, because these are high-definition audio recordings. We want you to be able to hear the quality of the recording and the differences that we're trying to demonstrate here. So don't listen to them off your laptop speakers if you have another way to go ahead and listen to those with headphones or earbuds. And CCI Solutions is sponsoring this webinar in conjunction with our friends at Sennheiser. We love people, we love gear, and we love to serve. So call any of our guys if you have any questions. We will help you make the maximum use of the gear you have. And if you've got some funds to go ahead and upgrade your systems, we will give you, help you make maximum use of that. If you need help with systems and systems design, new systems, remodeled and upgraded systems, audio, video, and lighting, we have experts for that as well. And we are a full-service consulting firm, so we do acoustical consulting and help you make a worship center that is articulate, intelligible, and musically friendly. So let's keep moving on here. Let's go to the acoustic piano. Now, the acoustic piano, there are a lot of ways to mic acoustic pianos, and what we're going to show you are ways to use it in an acoustic set type of an environment, if that's with the lid open. If you have a high degree or a high level of monitor on the platform, a lot of instruments going on, then you're probably going to want your lid closed, and we're not going to be able to demonstrate that for you during this webinar. So we're going to focus on lid open and a couple of different ways to do that, starting out with a single mic.
Great. Well, let's ask the question first. What is the role of the instrument in this particular worship environment? Is it going to be a lead instrument, or is it going to be more of a background instrument? By asking these questions and answering these questions, we'll be able to really make final decisions on exactly where to place our microphones. Now, miking option number one. We'll talk about just a single mic, a minimalist approach. On a budget, a single mic can be used to capture a piano. We'll start with the mic roughly 6 to 8 inches off of the soundboard, aimed at the center. Now, we want to aim about 3 to 4 inches behind the hammers. We want to use a directional mic. A cardioid works good. And we want to position the mic in such a way that it will avoid any unwanted reflections off the lid. A condenser mic is great in this situation because we want to capture as much detail as possible. Also, when finding a place to aim the microphone, you might use some sort of a reference that's on the soundboard. On this particular piano, there was actually a manufacturer's logo, and anytime we move the mic around, we said, okay, that works pretty good if we do aim it at that logo. Your piano might have a screw or some kind of other characteristic that is good to just know, okay, that might be our sweet spot. So with a minimalist approach, one microphone, we can take a listen.
So that's not a piano sound I want to send home to Mom. It just didn't sound that great. Had a lot of mid-range. I wasn't getting good articulation. It wasn't a full piano sound. So clearly, we don't recommend one microphone on a piano. You need to have, in a worship situation, the attack of the hammers. You need to have the fullness of the low end. And so let's take a look at a 2-mic set and move right off of this single mic.
Well, a 2-mic configuration gives us control over the high and the low. And that, again, lets us really tailor the sound to fit into the mix. So we'll add a second mic to cover more of the instrument. one on the high, one on the low. This is a spaced pair. Now, to avoid phase issues, we always want to observe the 3-to-1 rule. And that basically states that a distance between a pair of mics should be 3 times the distance to the sound source. So whenever 2 mics are used on the same source, there's a potential for phase discrepancies due to the sound from a common point arriving at different times. Now, we place the mic about 6 inches above the soundboard, and we space them 18 inches apart to observe the 3-to-1 rule. Now, I do want to break off here and just kind of tell a little story. When we were in the studio, this is how important the 3-to-1 rule is. We got a measuring tape. We measured 6 inches above the strings. And then we just estimated about 18 inches from between mics. We played it. It sounded horrible. Well, then we got our measuring tape, and we realized we were 16 inches apart. We were only 2 inches. We were only breaking the 3-to-1 rule by 2 inches. Moving it just an additional 2 or 3 inches made all the difference in the world. So, with a spaced pair, with the mics positioned properly, let's listen to what that sounds like.
Okay, so what I'm hearing on that is more of the resonance of the piano, but I'm also hearing more of the attack. I'm hearing a better balance from the highs and from the lows. World of difference between a single mic placed center and a split pair. But, like Andrew said, you have to follow this 3-to-1 rule. The 3-to-1 rule applies not only in miking a piano, but in miking a choir. I've seen a lot of situations where the choir may be 6 feet from the microphone, and then the microphones are spaced at 10 or 12 feet apart in an attempt to try and get a fuller choir sound. Well, what you get is phasing interference. Same thing on children's musicals. If you're using these really nice condenser microphones, because these that we used on the piano would also work really well for a children's musical, space them 3-to-1. If the kids are 4 or 5 feet away, don't put a mic every 2 feet. All you'll end up with is a phased interference mess. So 3-to-1 rule, whether you're miking pianos, choirs, children's musicals, whatever you're doing, follow that rule. Okay, so now again, lid open, more balanced, the 2 mics, a pretty good setup there, and only for an acoustic set, because you're going to pick up all that monitor sound in a contemporary worship environment that's using a lot of monitors and other instruments right into that piano and down into the microphones. But if you are using the acoustic set type of an approach and a choir, I recommend that you take and rotate that piano so that the lid is open to the choir, so that the choir is getting that percussive kind of monitor sound off the piano lid, and then I'm using the microphones to fill in at the congregation so I can balance the sound of the choir with the sound of the piano. That's has worked best for me.